We are now approaching the end of summer, and throughout this time I've played a lot of games. I've managed to already sink over 100 hours into Elden Ring Night Rain. I also beat Arkham Origins surprisingly for the first time, and I also went back to finishing up some loose ends on Cyberpunk and Expedition 33, so it's safe to say I've played a lot. But in the middle of all this, I managed to order myself a brand new Steam Deck OLED. You see, I work in a medical office when I'm not doing YouTube, and I already sit at a computer for 8 hours a day. So I was already getting a little tired of coming home to sit at another computer for 5 more hours just to play video games. So this purchase was my way to still enjoy what I love while also maybe lying in bed or sitting on a comfier couch. And what better games can you play to complement a comfortable bed or comfortable couch other than cozy games? You see, just the other day we had a very nasty storm where I live, and I had a nastier day at work, so I gave myself a non-negotiable. I'm not going to sit at the computer when I get home, and I'm not going to play a game that frustrates me. I want to play a game that'll make me relax, that'll make me feel good. And there were 3 games I played that evening, because they were really short. I played A Short Hike, Unpacking, and Smushi Come Home. Now, cozy games are a breath of fresh air for me every time I play them because I don't play them nearly as much as I probably should. A lot of my gaming hours can be attributed to games that demand a lot of persistence or require me to always be at my best to succeed. In Elden Ring, you have to reach the Erd Tree and become Elden Lord. In Expedition 33, you have to reach the monolith to free Lumiere of its hold from the Paintress. And in The Last of Us Part 2, you have to kill Abby. The ending of these games are your motivator to see things through. The side content isn't what really motivates you to get to the ending or to keep you hooked at the location you are in now. Once you venture off to see what's on the side and you complete it, that section of the level is basically done. There's no point in lingering there. The sauce is in the main story. The purpose of your traveling is to get to the next boss fight or to the next cutscene to progress to the next level. And that's not to say these games don't have worthwhile side content. I'm just saying that for a lot of them, this is how the structure is. But the thing that I love when I play these cozy or smaller games is, although they also have central motivations, like reaching the summit to call your mom or find your way back to your home island. Yes, those are goals, but in these games you will often catch yourself doing other activities that don't serve any purpose towards your end goal, but instead fleshes out this world you are in and helps immerse you. If you were to beeline these games, a lot of them can be completed in an hour and a half, but it's so easy to get lost in these games and you don't feel like you're dragging either. The sauce in these games are in its side content. In A Short Hike, you help a bunny find their headband because they think it'll make them run faster in the race. Helping this bunny find their lucky headband isn't going to help you reach the summit to call your mom. If anything, it takes you away from it. But you do it anyways, and in the end, they learn that they just need to believe in themselves and they don't need the headband to succeed. They learn a valuable lesson, and now you get a new accessory to wear. Nothing you get from doing this helps you with your goal of reaching the peak of the mountain. This was out of the way, but you did it because it made you feel good. If anything, a lot of the more memorable parts in A Short Hike happen at the lowest points in the map. Learning how to fish, learning to drive a boat, playing stickball and trying to see how long you can go before the ball hits the ground. These are moments that help you get invested into this world. Even now, I revisit Hawk Peak sometimes just to play a few rounds of stickball to try and beat my high score. Smushi Come Home handles this a little differently, in which basically every interaction you make and every task you complete for a character helps you progress through the main story. This can be in the form of actual items to unlock new areas or upgrades to your stamina or glider hang time so that you can access harder to reach areas you couldn't reach otherwise if you didn't complete these favors. This structure is different than A Short Hike, but similar in the way that these favors take you way out of the beaten path and make you explore areas and do things you wouldn't normally do at all. Animals will have information to guide you on where to go or tools to outright help you, but your favors might include shooting strawberries out of the sky, or exploring different caves, or helping capybaras mend relationships with their siblings. Normally, you would be frustrated that you are being sent on wild goose chases that are clearly sending you out of the way the whole time, but you'll never be bothered because these games make you want to help everyone you meet. And I feel like you can attribute a lot of this to the dialogue. These games have dialogue that just feels very human, realistic. It's interesting because these are animals and insects and mushrooms, but their dialogue is very slapstick, it's very quirky, it never takes itself seriously, but it still does enough to make you believe in it. I shouldn't care about what a glow bug has to say, but when it's about them struggling as a parent to let their kids be on their own and love them from afar, yeah, I'm going to care about that. In A Short Hike, this raccoon appears in different moments of the game, and each time they're painting something new, each painting is becoming more complex, because they want to paint something that leaves an impression on people. And every time you see them, you see their improvement, and seeing what goes on in their head and inspires them to paint is just so heartwarming. These games are filled to the brim with memorable conversations. Some are funny, some are melancholic, and some are heartwarming, and you can tell that so much love went into every layer of these games' conversations. Another thing that makes me appreciate these games is that they adopt this approach of less is more, in the sense of there not really being any mechanics to cause the player to think too hard about their next move, or to demotivate them because they haven't mastered a piece of the game needed to progress. A lot of the time, especially with the two main games I've been talking about, a lot of the gameplay boils down to running, climbing, jumping, and gliding. And you would think gameplay would get stale with these being the main forms of movement, but it really doesn't. Yes, the movement is straightforward, but with levels in Smushi Come Home, or in a short hike's case, the different areas of the park, there are items you can get, whether it be currency or upgrades to your stamina bar, that you could only reach if you are intentional with your movement capabilities. You might need to time your gliding with a certain amount of jumps, or you might have to glide, climb a bit, and then jump to glide again to reach it. It's still not inherently complicated by any means, but it's always fun to look off in the distance, see an item, and think, hang on, let me see if I can reach that. The approach to less is more in gaming can honestly lead to so many memorable and more impactful moments if done properly. In the game Journey, you're able to go on this quest to the mountaintop with one other person, but you don't get their username, you don't get voice chat, no text chat. You just have to keep going and hope they're still following you. You can make one sound at each other, but in no way does that give any meaningful information to help on this quest. But there's something so impactful of going on this 45-minute adventure with a complete stranger, not knowing a single thing about the other. Their name, their age, where they're from, and you go through this emotional journey and you'll never see them again after. Which is why at the end of some journeys, a player will draw a heart in the snow to show their thanks and appreciation for seeing this through to the end with them. It's moments like this that might not hit as hard if you did communicate the entire time, or if you did know some information about who you were playing with. In the spirit of less is more, I don't think there's a game that does it as seamlessly and as creatively as Unpacking. On the surface, just by looking at gameplay, and if I took out the level transitions, you would think this is just a puzzle game where you need to try and make things look as tidy as possible, and the game just gets harder with each level. But no, there's actually a lot more depth and a lot more layers to this story, and yes, there is a story being told here. In Unpacking, you're following someone's life from them as a little girl to becoming a fully grown adult. The levels take place through the course of years, and without dialogue or seeing who is unpacking, you're able to learn so much. From what her hobbies are, what her fashion sense is, her various interests, and what she collects more of. It's always interesting because you only uncover this information the more you unpack. You're not really able to infer if you only unpack a certain amount. You can only get the full picture if you see it through to the end. And this made me emotional at some moments, because you would unbox this stuffed animal when she's a child, and throughout all the years, well into her teens, you will still be unboxing that same animal. And you'll go through years of seeing it up until you can tell she's now in adulthood, and after always seeing new items every year, the one item that's consistent is that stuffed animal. You're experiencing this story through the eyes of this person, and out of all the scary changes of growing up and moving out on your own, that child in you is still there through your stuffed animal. You see her interests change, you'll get a grasp of the kind of relationships that she's in, since you can tell she's moving in with someone else in the later levels. And it just hits because you'll revisit the childhood levels as an adult, and what felt so big and spacious in the beginning as a child feels small and not as cozy. I don't think this game would have the same impact or make you think the same way if you had cutscenes or if you had a narrator taking you through the story. All this gets to be formed in your mind. You get to go through this journey of life and growing up with this person. You only learn about the world around you and learn about yourself by going through life step by step, or in this case, box by box. And I think there's something so wholesome and bittersweet by structuring the game in this way. Today, any game can be cozy or be considered a comfort game if it's just a game that you keep coming back to take you away from what's going on outside. 2 years ago, Elden Ring would have been that game for me in a strange way. But when I talk about cozy games, especially in this context of the video, I'm talking about a game that is a complete 180 from what you normally play. A game that genuinely separates you from your routine gaming shtick and makes you feel a little lighter. A game that doesn't make you think too hard, one that doesn't make you upset, a game that you can just get lost in, a game that's simple. Every time I finish these games, I feel lighter, I feel happier. I don't play these kinds of games as often as I probably should, but honestly, I feel like that's what gives these games so much charm. That's what makes them feel so fresh and different. Smushi Come Home is a huge contrast to Expedition 33, but it's a game that welcomes whoever plays it with open arms. From its simplistic and warm design to the music that plays in different levels, the best word I can use to describe all of this is cozy. There are tons of games where I'm eager to see how it ends, and when I beat them, I'll sit back in my chair and think to myself about what an experience that was. But in these kinds of games, I often see myself getting distracted with what's around the corner, seeing how deep I can go, and when I do make it to the end, I'm left a little sad because this story is over. I've done every unique encounter there is, but I'm still left wanting more. I wish it didn't need to end because I was having such a good time here. And I feel like that's a testament to these small games because they've managed to do so much with so little. I genuinely recommend everyone watching this video to try one of these games out. And it doesn't even have to be these 3 I talked about, there are a bunch of other games out there. You probably made it to the end and wondered why I didn't mention some of the icons like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. I just started Stardew Valley, so I don't have an opinion on it yet. And Animal Crossing I've restarted a few times and I don't know, maybe I haven't given it a fair shot or it just hasn't clicked yet. But I'm in debt in real life and I don't want to be reminded of it when I'm playing a video game. But that isn't to say that these games aren't good, there's something there for everyone. But if I had to give suggestions for comfy games, I would recommend Alba, Abzu, Journey, A Short Hike, Smushi Come Home, Unpacking, and A Story About My Uncle. There's a few more that I have on my radar that I haven't played yet that might get added to this list, but for now, those are definite ones I would recommend playing at least once. Call that list basic if you want, but these are the ones that stuck with me. And if you know any others, I would love to be recommended some in the comments. I love video games, and these games help serve as a reminder as to why I love this medium so much. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you found a potential game you can sink some time into. I'd appreciate any support you'd like to give, whether that be a like, or a comment, or even a subscription. It'll all mean the world to me. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.